You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 191 of East Central Indiana's favorite podcast, Suck It Juice in the Morning. I'm Jeremiah Morrell. Today I'm joined by co-host Dakota Davis and producer Zach Burcham. What do we got going on, Dakota?
Today's episode features, well, the three regulars and then, of course, our Liberty defender, Mr. Sean Rao, who is here in suit and tie and khaki slacks.
We paid him extra for this.
Very nice Oxford shoes.
They pay me an extra $200 to be here if I wear the suit.
You got Spangle stimulus check is what happened.
I got the stemmy.
This is the only place that you can interact with Sean Rao on Facebook. So, make sure that you make good use of this time if you're watching in the live stream.
Yes. Sean, did you know a thing called Parler existed and now it's gone?
I was aware of Parler existing and now it's gone.
Without Facebook, I don't know how you get your news. It's got to be like the olden days.
It's a mixture of TV news, especially after the insurgency on the 6th, and then also just randos on Twitter.
Through the Courier Times.
Courier Times also.
We're going to be talking to Sean about, we have a new president now. It's 2021 after January 20th, and we're going to be talking to him about the inauguration, everything that happened there, what it's been like to be a lawyer as we have watched all the conspiracy theories and QAnon conspiracies come about, and just how much cringe he's had to endure from that. And then we're going to look at the things that Biden did his very first day. And then at the very end of the show, we're going to get to some local topics, Henry County happenings, as I put it in the live stream title.
This show is about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you. Other times we'll make you laugh. But hopefully you will always learn something new.
That is right.
We will make you learn.
Patreon.com/Boss Hog of Liberty. That's where you can go to support the show every month. We encourage a minimum donation of $5 a month, but you can go all the way up to like $85 a month.
If Biden gets the minimum wage, do we have to have a minimum donation of $15?
No,
we have to increase it.
This is all, we'll say this is all voluntary association between individuals. So you hold no contract between yourself and the Boss Hog of Liberty. $50 or more a month, that's where you can go to support the show. Bigly, those are our big leagues, and we also promise those folks a shout out at the front of each and every episode. Those folks are Mr. Chris Lamb, Miss Christy Avery from all the way in Fort Wayne, Jonathan Phillips from Andy Moore, Buick and GMC in Fishers, and Mr. Anthony Meyer, American hero Anthony Meyer. Anthony Meyer has a GoFundMe set up right now. He is a long-haul truck driver. He drives an 18-wheeler all across these United States. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, he's worked extra hard to make sure that we have food and groceries and other supplies available to us. But he is also trying to make his contracting side go completely and totally independent, because there's been a lot of runaround with the COVID-19 pandemic, and he's got the story set up on his GoFundMe page. Producer Zach Burcham has already put it in the live stream chat, so if you're watching the live stream, make sure you click on that. Anthony has supported the show big time for quite some time now, and it would be great if we could show some love to his page back. We also have T-Chip stores. That's where you can go to get your Boss Hog of Liberty merchandise. tchip.com/BHOO12344 or BHOO mug. That's all of our apparel and all of our goodies. 1, 2, 3. Those are all t-shirts, hoodies, long sleeve shirts like Jeremiah's wearing right now.
I'm going to have to upgrade. I got to get a hoodie now.
Yep, I have a hoodie.
In the depths of winter time, I need to order the hoodie.
I have a hoodie.
And you still have time for your pandemic mask.
That's right. BHOL4, that's where you can get your protect yourself mask. And then, of course, the mug. It changes colors whenever it heats up.
I had lunch with our boy Kyle Hopwood a couple weeks ago, and I didn't ask about it. I did not ask about the mug. It means I need a follow-up lunch to check in. All right, got a new president. There was a big swearing in on the 20th. Dakota, did you stop everything you were doing to check it out? Did you watch?
I did. I watched. You sent the live stream of Trump's farewell address.
It was the right-wing news. The people that were doing it. There were 200,000 people on this YouTube stream, and it was like Baghdad Bob's narration of how great the president was.
Yeah, every time that a family member came out, he was like, "God, just look at how beautiful this family is." Yeah. And it was like, dude, it was kind of cringe.
I thought about it, and I thought to myself, I don't know this guy's name, I don't know anything about him, but I was like, how is he ever going to find work again?
At the end, whenever Trump took off in Air Force One, he got in front of the camera, and I think he's a pastor because he started talking and saying he was saying things like, "It's important to keep your faith in God. The Lord Jesus Christ will lead us through these tumultuous times, even if Biden is in the White House, he's in control." And he's just saying all that stuff. So it's like, I think this guy might be a pastor. Like, this is just like his live stream, his media company is what he does through the week. Sundays, he's in the pulpit. As he might be the next Franklin Graham. We don't know.
I guess. Did you like the way that he left, Sean? Where he left almost Nixonian, got the hell out before Biden got there?
So
left while he was still president.
So he makes the speech, right? He makes the speech ahead of the inaugural speech, which I thought he was going to just do it simultaneously and just absolutely be like, "Screw you, Biden." And then he leaves the stage. Okay, so they have this whole ramp up, and they play all of his crappy boomer.
You're talking about the Andrews.
It is not crappy. They had 94.7 FM playing.
It's just his rally music that he plays at every single rally. Mm-hmm. And then I will never forget this. He gets off the stage. The best part, because that's what I watched on Wednesday, because I wasn't in court Wednesday morning. I could do some work at home while this is on. He leaves the stage to YMCA by the Village People.
Yes.
That's his last act as president, to get off the stage.
His last
to
public
YMCA
act.
By the Village People. It makes no sense at all. It makes no sense.
That's a banger.
It's the most.
Young man.
Yeah.
Pick yourself off the ground. I said, young man.
The Trump people have changed it to MAGA at different rallies.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
You're right.
But you think about the lack of just dignity for the office. And I'm not one of these, we got to worship our institutions, whatever. But if I'm leaving as president, my last act as president is not going to be walking off a stage to YMCA by the Village.
And pardoning Lil Wayne.
And he did that the night before, but
it's a good 24 hours.
Truly like his last act. He got on the plane and then he's flown to Florida and then he's no longer president
and he's gone.
And I felt like, is this the end of the fever dream? Is this the end? Is this when the fever's going to break and I'm going to snap back into reality, or what?
Wheezy is the realest of the real. So let's not talk crap about Lil Wayne.
Oh, we can talk about the pardons, but I just that moment where he's walking off of the stage to YMCA was just such a crystallization of his entire presidency, the absurdity of it, and the absolute indescribable moment that you just feel like, is this reality? Is this what we're actually doing?
This is it.
That was just the encapsulation
it's the end
of those times.
A true era in politics. I pray to God that this was the end of.
We have to talk about, and I'm going to go off script a little bit. We have to talk about top Trump, just weird ass moments, because there are so many to choose from. I mean, he did stare at a solar eclipse.
Yes,
that was one of my favorites personally.
Who didn't?
Dakota and I watched the eclipse together, and we built our little cardboard boxes. It was painting day in your house.
But he just you see Melania wearing the glasses, and he's just looking up at it. That's one of my favorite photos. He asked the kid whether they believe in Santa Claus still, and he says, "Well, at that age, it's kind of marginal, right?" Hilarious.
The lawnmower.
The kid with the lawnmower.
When the government
talk
shut
about
down.
Memes. If we're going to talk about memes later, that's one of the most memeable things. And I saw one where it's the kid with the lawnmower, and they just took him away, so he's gone. I thought that was pretty smart.
The Big Macs, bringing the Big Macs in for the
football, where he's standing there, and it's like a Stanley Kubrick film, where he's standing in this room. There's all this McDonald's, and he's standing like this with his hands out, and he's smiling, and it's an empty room, and just all this cold ass McDonald's that is just sitting on this table
for 3 hours.
And
for 3 hours.
They dolled it up, put it in the silver, like the White House silver platters and things.
Yeah,
hilarious. I loved that.
He was getting
I also
Halloween
said on
candy.
that episode, I was like, if I was one of those students and I went to the White House and it was Trump's White House and there was McDonald's, I would have been ecstatic. This is better. This is better than a filet mignon.
I can tell my grandkids of the cold Big Mac I ate while Donald Trump was like, "Oh, the beautiful strong guys."
It's just so
Look how
funny.
strong they are.
It's hilarious. It's a story you tell for the rest of your life.
It is. He was in so many ways. He was just awful and terrible to human beings. But in so many other ways, as a white straight man, I can say he was a hilarious poster. He was an all-time Hall of Fame poster on Twitter. It's really a shame that Twitter took it away right when he had really no power or any ability to stay in, because it's just he was an all-time
on the policy
goat.
side. There is a lot that not everything, and not anywhere close to everything, but there was a lot that was agreeable. His personality was awful, but there was a lot that was agreeable. And somebody, I think Seth Lee asked this week, Newcastle's own Seth Lee asked, what did Trump do that was so damn bad? Like the one thing that was the worst policy. And I said, how has it affected your life? Not just that it was a bad policy, but how did it actually affect you? I said, well, I can't go to Cuba.
Yeah.
With Obama, he had opened up Cuba, and we were actually starting to develop person-to-person relationships where you could take a cruise from Miami, go to Cuba for a couple nights, come back. You would actually meet real Cuban people, and the cultures would actually mix.
Yeah.
That went away.
Yeah.
I've always said that presidential elections, it doesn't change your life that much. Mm-hmm. Very little actually changes from day to day, year to year. Except for when you get the $1,200 stimulus checks.
Because I put in the show notes, like, what was the best thing that Trump did and what was the worst thing that Trump did. And I was going to try to focus on policy. And I was thinking about it. And I think that the worst thing he did in policy would have been like the trade war with China. But at the same time, it's like, I understand what he was doing. Like, China has been just siphoning off every bit of manufacturing they can from corporations that are trying to increase their profit margins. So I understand what he's trying to do to revive some of those jobs back in the United States. I don't think it was the right way of going about it, but it's like, well, even then I understood the policy decision, it might not have been a good one, but I know where he was going. So it's just Trump and his policies, not all that bad.
Nate Lamar was here, and he talked about the Abraham Accords and the successes that they had there. Which I think
Nate knows so much more about that than what I do.
Future administrations will probably build on at that. But you saw with Biden, there were, I guess, and I know I'm jumping ahead. We can replow some of this ground, but conversationally, it's coming up now. 15 or maybe 17 executive orders on day one from Biden undoing what Trump had put in place. And I think that's an important point about the presidency, is that if you don't get something through Congress, it's just an executive order and it's not worth a damn thing.
Right.
It's not law. It's the way we're choosing to administer from the executive branch and what we want. And even these 17 executive orders weren't actually even all laws. They were, hey, we want Congress to do this.
Right.
It was very minimal in what they were actually accomplishing.
Well, if you look at the administrative state, right? If you want to talk about deep state and QAnon or whatever, the real state is the administrative state, and which follows things like executive orders. So that all these departments that handle all these separate things, they only serve at the whim of and the pleasure of the president. Once that president changes, because that's the nature of our country at this point, so much is governed by this. My student loans, the Department of Education has said, I don't have to pay those back. I can pay back on the principal.
Right.
But there's going to be 0% interest until October. And Biden,
he extended that.
He did extend that
March,
through,
I think.
Through October.
I think his executive order went through March, but then his plan for Congress is to try to get them to put that into law through October.
I think,
or do I have it backwards?
I think it's backwards. I think that's a done deal already, because Trump did not have to go to Congress. Betsy DeVos did not have to go to Congress to do the original pausing of the student loans.
So what kind of strategy do you take with that, Sean? Do you just pile up money and hope they forgive it all for you? Or do you just say, I'm making progress right now, let's pay it down as much as I can while there's no interest?
Well, I think what, my situation is probably different than others. I think that for some people it's a survival mechanism because they just simply can't pay it back even in good times. And I think just trying to pay off debt and stockpile cash while you can. And then there's been all this talk between Biden and Schumer and all these other people. We're going to forgive 10,000. We're going to forgive 50,000, whatever. I think people are kind of waiting on the sideline. If they can pay towards the principal, pay those things down, they will. But that's probably from my perspective, just the easiest to do and the most common sense thing to do at this point, especially for if you want millennials and these Zoomers to spend money in the consumer economy, which is what our entire country is based on, is the consumer economy.
Hey man, let me go on vacation. I'm tired of bending the rules, breaking the rules. Get me my vaccine so I can go take a damn beach vacation.
Put the needle in my arm.
Let's go.
America.
Let's go. Right in there. Yeah. Or wherever, right here.
Right in the shoulder.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. Biden has inherited sort of a mess as far as the vaccine policy and trying to actually effectuate getting vaccines to deliver to people, because the whole system is not geared towards that sort of thing. We've got to totally retool this. And Trump's warp speed people, they were always like, well, we're going to get this to this point. That's a huge failure of the Trump administration. They did not deliver on what they said they could.
So is it their fault that there's only so much production? If the bottleneck is the suppliers being able to produce the vaccine, I understand that we want there to be more, but if you can only make so much, is that the federal government's fault that there's not enough vaccines to go around for our full population?
I think essentially he's overpromised and under-delivered with what the numbers were supposed to be by now. So I think we were supposed to have just quite a bit more people vaccinated now. I didn't look up the numbers ahead of time, but you basically tell people, we're going to vaccinate X number of people, and then you're way below that at this point. It's got to be a policy failure at that point. They have to account for those things anyway. But we could mobilize our entire military to help us do this if we wanted to, or National Guard or whatever, to set up stations to do that. If we really want it, we have the means and the resources to do it if we really wanted to.
The state of Indiana today, the governor and his health officials essentially said, we've got plenty of capacity. We can administer it. The bottleneck for them is supply. As soon as they get it from the federal government, they're getting into people's arms.
Right.
I don't know if that's the case in every other state.
Right.
But to me, as much as we want to bitch about, hey, they should be coming out faster, I feel like I don't think their distribution model is the issue. It's actually the supply.
Right.
Maybe I'm reading that wrong.
Well, they just over-promised and under-delivered.
There were some areas, though, I heard of where some cities and areas had, I think, like tens of thousands of doses and had them for more than a month without the mechanism to get them to people. Yeah. So I think in some areas it kind of depended, because you're seeing areas now where they're talking about turning like large facilities into just distribution centers for vaccinations.
Yep.
Disneyland, or Disney World, I think, is going to turn into, they're going to start turning that into that. So
Paul Morrell says that Amazon should handle the logistics and Chick-fil-A should handle the administration of the vaccine.
I agree.
You wouldn't get a vaccine on a Sunday.
Yeah, but when you did get one, they'd be happy and they'd be.
It would be their pleasure.
You get the waffle fries.
Yeah, give me that lemonade.
All right. Yeah.
Gerald Gabriel.
You get one chicken nugget.
Gerald Gabriel says
pop it in my mouth.
That the worst policy was the creation of the Space Force.
They sponsored an IndyCar, though. So
hard to disagree on that.
Gerald does spend his time out on a boat with the Coast Guard, so it may be a rivalry that he doesn't want to he wants to be considered the lowest rung on the military ladder in the pecking order of the memes.
The big secret is that we already kind of had a Space Force as part of the Air Force. There was the Air Force Space Command, and there's only, I think, like 1,700 members of the Air Force Space Command. But it was also kind of an important step to take because just as everything in geopolitics goes, it's all about making sure that you are constantly one step ahead of the people who are watching you and competing with you. Just like we were in the Cold War with Russia, with China, with India, all of these other places. We needed to make sure that we had something public to say that if anything was escalated towards space, we were in control of it. And that's kind of all it was. And also, K-Bar made some pretty sweet knives and a tool like they do for all the other military branches.
So let's roll back into the inauguration for a minute. Did you cry, Zach? You're the Democrat in the group. Did you cry hard?
No, I didn't really. I was working, so I didn't really get to watch
Federal
much of it.
You have a real job.
Don't get to watch this.
Maybe some federal employees could have had the time. I mean, I wasn't being supervised. I work upstairs in my house, but I had other things to do. I knew if I turned it on, I find that stuff interesting anyway. Like I could sit and watch. I don't remember watching much of the Trump one because I had a job. I remember watching Obama's, and I remember watching W's, and they're interesting. They're fascinating to see. I caught some of the highlights later. I watched his speech. I watched the poet laureates speaking, and I watched a couple of the musical performances. But like I've got it all DVR'd. I might go back and watch some of it later. But it was like an NFL day. It started at like 9 a.m.
I don't know.
Went till dark.
I don't know what happened or how legal it was, but I was watching. I had a conference call at noon, so I had to be back at my desk in the Funcy office at noon. So I was watching from my car on my little YouTube TV subscription on my phone, and it's 11:50, and they're swearing in Joe Biden. I'm like, what? We're this much of a rush to get rid of Trump that they're cheating the clock by 10 minutes.
Well, technically, they swore in Joe Biden while Trump was still president, so the election is off.
It's over.
And we have no president.
Yeah, it's
lawyer.
completely invalid. I'm a lawyer.
Trust me, I'm a lawyer.
It goes straight to the top because the Chief Justice was in on it too.
To the tippy top. I mean, John Roberts was in on it. Joe Biden, JFK Jr. was there somehow.
He was
It was.
I saw Hillary Clinton too. So
right in broad daylight. Just unbelievable from the lizard people.
A few other fun things random facts that I got as I was getting ready. I was more optimistic and excited about this swearing in because of what the last 4 years have been than I've ever been. Every time there's been a president coming in, I'm like, oh, this is going to suck. This is going to suck. This is going to suck. This time I'm like, boy, I feel better, right? So I spent some time looking at it and checking some facts, looking at some things. Fun ones. Dan Quayle was sworn in as vice president from Indiana 32 years ago. He is still 5 years younger than Joe Biden. Okay. So it's been 32 years since Dan Quayle became vice president. Jimmy Carter has been out of office for 40 years. Out of office, not even president, but 40 years out of office. Although I think Obama has a chance to actually probably beat that record. He was so young when he was in.
Hey, Jimmy Carter's still going.
He's still rolling. We are back to the peak number of presidents. We have 6 living presidents again. That ties the record. I think this is the 4th time we've been to that number. And then he's the oldest president ever inaugurated. He's older than at the very end of Ronald Reagan.
Absolutely.
He's at the end, older than Trump was at any point in his presidency. And he's the only president to have been born during FDR.
You saw it during the speech. It's a well-written speech, but he just is old.
Yeah,
There's just no getting around it.
I don't know that I agree that it was that well written based on the parts I was hearing. It sounded like a lot of Obama era, like word salad type stuff to me.
Yeah. There was a lot of,
but it's like he makes us feel better. And I had this conversation with some friends earlier today.
It's a pep talk. We needed a bit of a pep talk.
We need a
Sean.
pep talk, but it's like, okay, now the adults are in charge. I can go back to my life instead of being in this constant state of either incredible anxiety, because that's what politics is. It's just being anxious all the time about everything. And oh no, fascism is right here in the corner and they're going to take over our government.
I was never anxious about that.
Or it's just this anger. It's just this sort of, just the government's taking my money or whatever, or they're a bunch of lizard people or whatever.
Because of his age, do you feel better about? He's probably not going to run again at 82. So this might be the first time and the only time you ever get a president that says, the hell with it. I'm just going to do my thing and I don't care about reelection. I feel that optimism of finally you have a person that says, I don't care. I'm just going to do my thing. I'm going to be me. And we're
my
going to
time is limited.
Yeah. I'm not buying green. I'm not buying green bananas. Let's just go with it and see what happens.
It's like the debate when he would say, "Oh, my time is up. I see my time is up. I gotta, go ahead."
Yeah.
It's troubling that a 78-year-old man is who he's elected.
Yeah, it is.
As a fact. I mean, it's just, in what other line of work would you want a 78-year-old man to be in charge?
I said the
literally
other day,
the hardest job in the entire world.
I said the other day, this is the very last boomer presidency. Enjoy it. This is it. And then I was told, actually, he's older than all the boomers.
Oh yeah,
he's 3 years older than a boomer.
Yeah, he's like the lead senior boomer.
Is he still the greatest generation, or is there a different one? Silent generation, maybe. I don't even know.
I think the greatest generation served in World War II. I don't think he's quite that old.
He's the silent.
He would have been a child soldier in the
maybe
for America.
He's born in 1942.
Yeah. So he wouldn't have been able to serve, obviously. But it's given the choices. It's like, who do we go with the guy who led this country through I don't know, bungling a pandemic and all these other problems with Trump, or do we elect this other guy who's going to give us a Werther's and pat us on the back and tell us it's going to be okay?
He's going to wear the aviators and hang out with his German shepherds. At this point, that's all I want.
Yeah.
How awesome would it be just to go through a week and just realize you haven't heard anything about what the president's done for a week?
That's the part. That's exactly what people. That's the appeal. Is that they can tune out. It's being taken care of.
It's working coast.
It's already working. I don't have to worry about that problem anymore. I'm going to go worry about all these other problems about the pandemic and my finances and all these other issues, my taxes, whatever.
Do you guys remember whenever George Bush was president? And
which one?
Stop everything.
Which one? Because
I need you to read this text. Just came.
The only one that I can remember.
I guarantee you, he means W because he doesn't remember Herbert Walker.
I was about to say
he wasn't born yet.
He was. Yeah.
Dakota was born 4 years after HW left.
Okay.
What is this? This is insanity.
Hot off the press.
Hot off the press. Text
Representative Marjorie Greene. I will introduce articles of impeachment against Joe Biden.
Yes.
He has been bought by foreign governments, and those ties jeopardize the economic and national security interests of Americans.
We're just fundraising off impeachments now.
My efforts. Please help me with your donation today.
So what are the donations going to do when you have control of neither side of Congress?
It's going to help the true patriots expose.
I took care of that for you, Jeremiah. Don't worry.
Did you send the money?
No.
Venmo would be $20.
Stop. Now it just charged me for texting that. You son of a bitch.
You texted Marjorie Taylor Greene. You're going to be on some kind of watch list under the Biden administration.
It was for content.
Yeah.
No, but what I was getting to was the overwhelming feeling during Bush's, probably his first term, really.
George W. Bush.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's so old. He doesn't remember. I
gotta clarify.
So young.
Was that George Bush wasn't really president, but Dick Cheney was. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the overwhelming feeling that I have right now is that Joe Biden isn't really president, but Kamala Harris is.
Lock them up.
And the people that surround Joe Biden, the deep state, the people who are there year after year, no matter who the president is.
The identity politics all-stars.
They are the ones, because they're going to have so much more influence with a person like Joe Biden than what they did with a person like Donald Trump.
Yeah, potentially. But I mean, he could have this old man rage where he could go into, like I had heard that
That's true.
He had just fired whoever's in charge of the NLRB and then also the assistant because
I saw
they got into that and then
from the U.S. Surgeon General tweet
Jerome Adams
and
Indiana's own.
He said,
Ball State doctor.
He said, I was just informed by the incoming administration that I will no longer be serving as the United States Attorney General. Thank you,
Surgeon
all.
General.
Surgeon General. Yeah. Thank you all for.
We don't want people like Sean doing medical work.
It's like, thank you all for the great opportunity to serving, blah blah blah, whatever. And then the caption was, first thing Biden does as president is fire a black man.
The Surgeon General is a political position where you serve at the pleasure of the president. I don't complain about that one, but honestly, I thought he might have been one of the ones to have a chance to continue.
I just thought it was a funny meme.
But at the same time, he's also been Surgeon General during a pandemic where the response wasn't the best. So
not ideal.
He's bringing back the Obama era Surgeon General.
400,000 people dead. Not ideal for public policy people out there.
I will say Jerome Adams. I do remember him coming to Henry County when we had the reported cancer cluster, and he was the Indiana State Health Commissioner. He came into our courthouse and gave a presentation, and I was very impressed with him. So the one interaction I've had with the guy, he was very good in that role.
I mean, and how much policy can he really drive in that position, as opposed to, you've got Trump out there not wearing a mask in public forever. You've got, Mike Pence not really buying into that either. They knew about this disease from the beginning. He told Bob Woodward, it's not going to be the flu. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be spread real easily. Yeah. And then he's like, it'll just go away. It'll just go away. I mean, that's the problem with Trump. That's probably the worst thing he's done is get 400,000 people killed. Bodies on his resume.
I may disagree with that.
Did you enjoy Trump's vice president, Mike Pence, coming home, flying back to Columbus and riding in the jump seat on Air Force Two for his trip back home?
My real thought was, why don't come back? Just stay in Washington D.C. We don't need you back.
It was awkward.
We want him to be doing things in Washington D.C.
Yeah, just stay there.
Mike said,
"Go work at K Street."
Mike was like, "Yeah, we're going to buy a house this summer. We don't really." He literally said in the speech, like, it sounded like he was homeless.
Yes,
and he either needed to stay with his mom or his brother, or, hey, this was a fun photo op, guys, but I got to get it back on that plane and ride it back to Washington because I'm going to stay at the Hilton tonight.
We've got to check in. We got a 3 p.m. check in at the Holiday Inn in Columbus. So we got to go.
It did not sound like he had a place to go.
I'm always the minority on the show when Mike Pence comes up because I actually like Mike Pence.
I think he's a fine guy. The policy side, not always the best. But I think he's one of the most genuine people in politics that is around.
That's why I like him. I support anyone in politics who I know actually believes and cares about what they're doing.
The funniest thing about Mike Pence to me is that Donald Trump fomented a very angry crowd, and he said, "You're going to go down to the Capitol." And they're all like, "We're going to hang Mike Pence."
Yeah.
And he did not call in the military. He did not call them off.
He was dodging his phone calls.
He was dodging the phone calls. And then Pence was the one that had to call in the National Guard. And then even then, Pence wouldn't go for the 25th Amendment to remove Trump.
And Pence basically just said,
I thought that was hilarious.
Trump stayed at home for the last 2 weeks, acted like he was on COVID quarantine.
Yeah.
Put out a couple videos, and Trump ran around and flew around on the plane and did the president's job and thanked the troops and did the job for the last 2 weeks.
I don't know if you guys saw this report about Pence on Insurrection Day 2021. But they basically said that Pence was like dangerously close.
Oh, yes.
To people that came.
Yeah.
Within like 60 or 90 seconds, they came within intersecting.
And there was a Capitol Police officer that was trying to distract them on the stairs and getting the protesters, the rioters, to
the treasonists,
the insurrectionists. We'll call them that.
The insurrection. He was the one Capitol Police officer was in the stairwell, not even trying to hold him off, just trying to get them to follow him,
right,
so that he could make a left turn while Pence made a right turn.
Right. Sounds like,
and they would chase after the police officer.
Well,
and Pence. The reason it got to that position was because he was staying in his office and he was with his wife.
He told the Secret Service like 4 times, "I'm not moving. I'm not moving. I'm moving."
He said they can come here. He said, "Let them come here." And they were like, "Mr. Vice President, this
we don't want to do that."
And it was
at some point it becomes, you're no longer listening. You're getting on my shoulder.
Yeah, they said the 5th time, they said, "Mr. Vice President, we're not giving you a choice."
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, Pence actually does have some balls. Like, that takes balls of steel. I wouldn't be like that. I'd be like, get me out of here now.
I'm done.
Like, where are the tunnels? Where are the tunnels at? But yeah, I was impressed with Mike Pence in that situation. He's like, let him come. Like, let him try to talk to me. I don't care. And
so then Mike Pence killed 5 people. That'll be the next
with his bare hands.
Mike Pence is like,
manly man.
I got a 6 Sauer P365 tucked in this coat jacket. Let him get in here. Let's talk a little bit about the executive orders that Joe Biden put into effect. If you're a Patreon member, then you get access to the show notes ahead of time. And in the show notes, we put links to all of the sources that we use when we write up the notes. And there's a few links in here if you're a Patreon member.
I punched them up a little bit after Dakota phoned it in at 3:30. I added some more links for you people because I love you.
So there's a few of them that go through all the different things. Jeremiah, like you said, added some that delve deeper into the details of specific executive orders. But we already talked a little bit about them. I put in the show notes, is this how we govern now? It's just 4 years of different teams making their best wishes come true. And then the next team comes in and they just undo all of those wishes.
That goes to the conversation of we've made the presidency too powerful.
Yeah.
And it's temporarily powerful.
So a couple of the big things that Biden did was, like he had been promising on the campaign trail, 100-day mask mandate on all national federal government property. He reinstituted the membership of the United States into the World Health Organization.
Let's talk about that mask mandate one for just a second or two.
Yeah.
Does that include outdoor spaces as well? Or is it just if you're inside in a federal?
You are the one that included the link to that one. I don't know.
Zach, you know the federal government. What's the mask rule with the feds now? The 100 days.
I'm not sure. I have to look. I know somebody immediately posted in a camping group that like masks were mandated in federal parks. I can't imagine that it would be outdoors.
And how you can enforce that.
Yeah. And somebody even said it looks like something on paper, but it's pretty much unenforceable. They said masks are already mandated in all federal buildings anyway.
Buildings. I mean, we don't know if you're walking around Yellowstone and you're trying to catch a bison, you wearing a mask? Does that qualify for Hunter's Orange if it's a Hunter's Orange mask? I
doubt you're going to get a park ranger to enforce that.
Yeah. But it's 100 days. So who knows? I think that was Jeremiah's favorite saying was just theater, saying, look, we've day one, we've done something to try to curb the pandemic.
It's not entirely theatrical in the same sense that wiping down every single counter 8 times a day or whatever on these surfaces is, or whatever the sort of
the chat room
theater
is telling me all federal property.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Which explains the outrage that I saw on Twitter last night when the president didn't have his mask on at the Lincoln Memorial last night when he was on federal property.
Well, when you kick the Cheeto out of the White House, you got to celebrate. You can't celebrate by wearing a mask.
You can't celebrate.
We got a party.
If you've got a beer koozie on your head, a hard hat with a beer koozie, are you always drinking?
Always.
And then you're exempt?
Keep it going.
We have also been reinstituted into the Paris Climate Accord, which I think is a bad move. I think it's silly. I think it's dumb. I think Trump was absolutely right whenever he said we were being ripped off. The United States is the only country that is putting in millions of dollars. And meanwhile, we have countries like China that are in the Paris Climate Accord, but they're the largest polluter on the planet.
Of all the stuff I'm upset about, this doesn't move the needle for me.
Yeah.
I don't care that much.
It's just dumb.
I understand the theory, and it's one of those that I just feel like as soon as you elect a Republican president, there's like 6 things that the Republicans are going to do, and they're going to jump into this. Yeah. And as soon as you get a Democrat, they're going to go the opposite direction. And that's in that bucket for me.
There. The trash is there. It will always be there. The emissions are there. Our federal government is doing things without the Paris Climate Accord for reducing emissions. There are a ton of private companies and private entities that are already going above and beyond federal mandates for shutting down emission producing plants like coal plants going way down. They're private energy suppliers all over the United States are shutting down their coal plants, making goal deadlines to shut down coal plants, and they're doing it ahead of those goal deadlines. And Biden's saying that he wants to get away from it by 2050. I know that.
How old will he be by then?
I'll be
56 years old.
No. How old will Biden be by then? That was the joke.
Dakota's going to be 54.
30, he'll be 108.
35.
He'll be a fossil fuel.
He'll become the fossil fuel.
I will be younger than Jeremiah is now.
Amazing.
In 2050?
Yeah.
You won't.
You'll be 54 years old. I'm 37, bitch.
Yeah. Younger than Jeremiah is now.
I'm 37. And at that point, I will be in 2050. I'll be getting
You'd have to
security
be
money.
You'd have to be like 6 years old to be, because it's 30.
He's doing a Benjamin
years.
Button thing now, I guess.
He's just going
started off as
going in circles. Yeah, I'll be in 2050. I'll be 67. I'll be full peak age in Social Security, expecting every penny of it, Zachary.
By that point, it'll be like
And you will
70,
be
it'll be 72.
Getting
years
ready
for
to retire in 3 years.
Yeah.
You can go see Florida,
Or 7.
where Florida used to be while it's underwater, and everything else is underwater.
Not if we fix the
Not
point
if we
is-
start now.
I'm in the energy sector.
Mm-hmm.
I see all
dirty coal energy.
I see all
Dakota.
of the mailers and all of the details. I see all the goals.
all the propaganda.
Biden wants coal plants shut down by 2050. Most energy producers in the United States have already got a goal to get rid of coal burning plants and replace them with either nuclear, natural gas, which is way, way cleaner, by 2030.
Right.
So, like, the federal government making these mandates isn't having that big of an impact on what the industry is already forging ahead and doing. It's a difficult task to achieve, but as I already said, with the goals that have already been set in place with closing down coal-firing plants, a lot of those have already been met prior to the deadlines set by the industry themselves.
Right.
It's because as we all know, technology it's like compounding interest. It increases exponentially, and that is the same with the technology and renewable resources. So right now we're saying 2030, but who knows what the technology will be like in 2029.
I sure know that when the federal government says that all cars have to be electric, it'll be nice to have enough electricity to be able to run those cars. Somehow.
And my company is saying that in the next, I think, 7 years, maybe, all company vehicles will be electric. That includes our giant line trucks that are semi cabs. They are expecting those.
Isn't
to
that
also
just
be
big electric trying to get more revenue?
Yeah, have them plugged in.
Y'all are going to have us get 400 amp services at our houses to keep our 3 cars charged.
Everybody's going to have, the electric infrastructure is going to get upgraded a lot. But everybody will have some real serious.
And that is already being worked on too by the federal government. The federal government is already funding that. In fact, Trump made giant increases in funding for infrastructure, including the electrical grid.
He's gone now. You can stop sucking up to the man. Yeah. Cheeto is never coming back.
But
Sean told us.
That's already happening, and that was a part of defense spending.
All right. The other item that Biden stroke of a pen killed was the Keystone XL pipeline, which is another one that's very similar to the Paris Climate Accord and the WHO.
Which I also have strong opinions about.
In and out. It's one of those politically, as soon as you elect a Democrat, that's just what happens.
Right.
I think it's very unfair to the contractors that were on the job, the people that are actually involved in it. I know if in my day job, if I was supplying material on a project and they cancel it right in the middle of it, I sure as hell want to get paid. And it's not very good for the owner of the project that now has something that's completely useless if it's not completed. But they're on the hook for all the bills.
And the American Indian reservation that is now going to suffer financially by this contract being crushed by the federal government.
So I think that one's terribly unfair. Have whatever conversation you want to about the logic of the project or how if it should exist or not. But once you get to the point of no return and you're turning dirt, I feel like you have to let it finish.
I think it goes to your point about the executive branch being tremendously too powerful, and the administrative state being tremendously too powerful too, because realistically, I mean, the way Congress functions, I mean, they don't really pass laws. They
create a framework for something to get administered.
They do, and I just the way I feel, a lot of Congress people just either post on Twitter all day, which is fantastic, which is not, again, posting is not politics. You'll have these people that are like, man, we got to do something about the minimum wage. It's like, hey, you're in Congress. Like, go do your job. Like, whatever.
The reality of being in Congress is that
and
if you're not one of like 7 people in Congress.
I realize that.
You're just there to vote when they tell you to vote.
But it's just like, we voted for you, and now you're a popular poster, and you get 400,000 likes on a tweet. Great, but I mean, where's the policy?
Yeah.
And so I think, we're not going to be able to do anything really ever to deal with the executive branch. It's just going to be like this. And the more polarized we are as a society between the Republican, especially the Trump, one thing I think you're going to see happen is the Trump people are going to splinter away from the Republican Party. And Trump has talked about starting a third party.
The Patriot Party.
The Patriot Party.
I'm going to have to stop you right there and say a 4th or 5th party. Get in line, asshole. Welcome to the party, pals. We've been here for a while.
Splinter off of the Republican Party as the third piece of that pie between that. You're going from a binary.
His goal is to start a third major party.
Yes.
Good luck.
Good luck. And that's
not easy.
But I think that all these like dead enders are going to follow him.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to have the same.
I think it potentially is 15% of the Republican Party.
I think it's going to be like a Bull Moose type thing where it's more centered around the person, because Don Jr. has no juice. He has no charisma. Like Eric has no charisma. Ivanka has some charisma.
I don't know if charisma is the word you're looking for.
She is not going to have that appeal to the average like MAGA chud voter, because Trump was a perfect avatar for them, because he's just an old man that eats McDonald's and gets angry at Fox News for not being conservative enough. And like they look at that,
Ivanka
and that's
Trump
a mirror.
Is appealing. I think you're wrong there.
I think she is. She has certain political appeal, but I don't think that she has the type of personality that's going to be relatable to these people that are like 45, 50 into like the 70s, because that's really Trump's.
There have already been rumors circulating that Ivanka Trump is going to be running for a Senate seat
running
in the state of Florida.
Against little Marco in Florida.
Yeah, but I mean, who likes Marco Rubio? Who's a Marco Rubio fan at this point?
Yeah.
He sucks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, John Ossoff got elected as a 33-year-old who's never held elected office before, so why not?
Yeah, that is alarming as well. He's
John Ossoff.
He's the youngest senator.
Has actually shown decent leadership skills, decent statesmanship skills. She's been good in any kind of press conference that she gives.
What job does she have, Dakota?
She has no job other than to be like a brand ambassador,
to be a spokesperson
for
I'm not saying
Goya black beans.
I'm not saying like I'm not saying that side, but I'm saying like as far as what we expect from a political leader.
Yeah, but if she behaves like that, she's not. She's not.
And what we expect from a political leader, I would say the gold standard would be Barack Obama, as far as like the way that he is able to talk, the way he's able to convey things in a clear manner, his statesmanship ability. He was all great. Disagree with his policy all day, all night. But as far as what the American people expect a political person to be like, Barack Obama is probably the gold standard. And I think that Ivanka Trump does a good job of appealing to.
I think Ivanka Trump in a specific scenario, like what you laid out, we're running against Rubio, I think she could win. I don't think that's controversial at all, but it goes more to the demographics of Florida, the Trump brand as sort of that as her as the heir apparent, because Don
this
Jr.
massive group of carpetbaggers moving to Florida.
Exactly. These New Yorkers that moved down to Florida, tale as old as time. But like you got Don Jr. and Eric, who are just two turds in the Trump punch bowl, who just suck. These people have no appeal. But then you have Ivanka.
The well is dry. Let me check in on.
She's clearly Trump's favorite child, like very clearly.
Yes,
and she's like the chosen one to like take on that.
I'm holding out for Barron. We'll see if Barron has any life.
Barron is going to be like a Twitch stream gamer. He's going to get all these like old people watching like Twitch streams of like Counter-Strike and
he's going to be the Ron Reagan of the group and turn into a liberal commentator on MSNBC.
He's going to read Karl Marx's Capital while he's live streaming Fortnite.
I want to read you a comment on YouTube that I saw today from a person in Florida.
That's actually now that I've left Facebook, the YouTube comment section is the only place I get my news.
I love the YouTube comment sections.
They're the best.
This is from a gentleman named Big Tootie.
Yes.
And
love him.
This is a song about American coal miners and their way of life dying, fading away, which kind of ties into what we were talking about earlier. It says, while I'm not a coal miner, this song resonates with me. My family has resided in a rural part of Florida for as long as there are records. My family's been here since the late 1700s. Florida was once our mountain, and now the northern retirees have taken it away from us and made it a mock Hawaii. Florida once had a vibrant Southern culture, but the Yankees brought their amphetamines with them and ruined a long-standing tradition of Southern people and are proud of their Scot-Irish heritage, bleeding red, white, and blue, and now it is a big tourist trap. There's no more patriotism in Florida. All there is elderly Yankees and disrespectful young people. I'm writing this as a drunk 21-year-old man. Forgive me for my grammatical errors and my somber tone.
Undoubtedly, Florida would never have any illicit drugs if it weren't for the damn Yankees that coming down there to give them all the.
I read that comment.
But he was also a drunk 21-year-old man.
The further north you go in Florida, the further south you get.
Exactly.
When you go all the way down to Miami, you're back in New York. Palm Beach, Miami.
When you're down in Miami, you're in Havana.
Yeah.
I read that comment and I was like, I can't find any inaccuracies. My grandparents live in Florida. I don't think they're on amphetamines, though. Yeah. But they are Yankees.
All right. Let's talk about Biden and what his administration actually has on the docket, what they're trying to accomplish.
Big thing.
They owe us $1,400.
They do. And
no, they owe us $2,000. Let's get that straight.
Some of you got the $600.
No. Let's get this straight.
You want $600 again?
We want $2,000 on top of the $600.
See, Biden said,
have we accidentally get started with the Andrew Yang plan?
No.
Are we getting universal basic income now?
Here's what was promised. I swear you can look up Warnock ads in Georgia. You can look up Ossoff ads. They say, vote for us. You will get $2,000
again.
And they didn't say, oh, well, really that $600 that Trump gave you, we mean 14 and that equals 2. It's sort of like, I saw a really good one about, Biden increasing the minimum wage to $7.75 an hour. He's like, well, $7.75 plus $7.25 is $15 an hour. You get $7.75 an hour, Jack. It's like, no, that's not what you promised. Like,
yeah, Biden did say
the epitome of Democrat politics is they will promise you the moon, and then on a national level, I can't speak for state or local, but on the national level, he's promised
Mayor
you
Yorkson is getting
$2,000 recycling. No comment, but. They promise you $2,000. Like, well, I mean, $1,400. I mean,
we should get Travis Week back on the show sometime. Speaking of that,
it's like Chuck Schumer promising $50,000 worth of student loan forgiveness, and then, well, Jack, I don't know, $10,000. Oh man,
I'm ready for that $1,400, or I guess $2,800 to roll in.
Aren't we all running out of stuff to buy? Frivolous things to buy.
Listen, I'm building a pole barn. I need all the money I can get from the feds.
I think it's
give me that money, Fed boy.
It's very different for people that are in places like New York and Los Angeles. These things people need. And I think people here are hurting too.
Sony, unbelievable time for them to release their new PlayStation. Yeah. You can't find one. They're if you find one at the store, they sell $600. They sell for $200 above retail.
They're all $600
because everybody's got $600 in their pocket.
Scalpers.
Well, it's kind of like, okay, I got $600, my rent's $2,000, so I'm just going to buy the PlayStation.
Yeah,
it's just that sort of thing where it's just
the government says you can't get thrown out anyway. There's an eviction moratorium.
Well, I wouldn't rely on that locally.
So I want to go.
It doesn't apply necessarily.
And so on this topic, real quick, just a tiny little fact we'll introduce. There were rumors. We'll say facts and rumors. There were rumors that the Democrats in the Congress were thinking maybe the $1,400 or $2,000, as Sean insists, may get pushed until March. So they may not even get around to it for another 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah, they got to impeach Trump. They got to remove him from office that he's not been removed from. That's the important order of the day. That's the business of the day. We got to get the Cheeto out and disgraced and convicted.
Don't you feel like that's important? I figured you'd be on the "you can never come back here again" train.
I don't think he's coming
I think as far as priorities go for Congress, that should be a little bit further down the list.
Can you? I mean, if you get an impeachment trial, can you go? Yeah, we're going to set that over here, and we're going to get back to that in March.
The only reason, well, it's up to Mitch. Well, it's not really up to Mitch McConnell now because he's not the majority leader now. But the only reason I'd want this to be rushed. Well, we got to do this now over all these other priorities that we have as a country. Is if Rudy Giuliani would represent him in the trial, because if Rudy would represent him and he's got to do it now.
Sean, everybody said no. At this point, your phone may ring. I know you say you're busy.
I'm available.
Will you go argue
the
most ridiculous case in the history of the world?
As soon as that retainer check clears,
you're in.
I'm on the plane.
You're in.
Let's go, baby.
Is that an open offer for any of these defendants from the insurrection?
That's an open offer to Donald John Trump. Send me a nice retainer check. Fly me out. Now I'll give you the best representation.
Now, Trump said $2 million buys you a pardon, theoretically. $2 million might be a good retainer. That's a good start.
I'd settle for that.
Yeah.
I could do that. I could handle that.
And Sean won't be a public embarrassment by having Just for Men drip down the side of his face.
No, or sticking my hands down my pants during a Borat movie. Won't do that, I promise. That's a guarantee. I will not stick my hand down my pants during a Borat movie.
You have people for that when you have $2 million.
Yeah, you got people watching out for you. You got some homies.
I legitimately think that he was just tucking his pants in.
Oh my gosh. I watched that movie. He was not tucking his pants.
I just finished watching it. And I feel like it was definitely edited.
That was the weirdest tuck in I've ever seen.
They had a microphone hooked up.
All right.
He's an old man. He's old.
Student loan
His
debt.
knees are bad.
This is where Sean and Bernie intersect and they become one. Student loan debt. Liberty defender.
Student loan debt.
Are they actually going to do anything? Am I going to be pissed off that we got out of student loan debt last year?
So,
and if so, are they going to make it retroactive?
What you're going to see, right, for the short term is going to be that zero interest until October. After that, it's anybody's guess because Biden has already. Here's another thing that Democrats do that politically drives me crazy as somebody that watches this stuff, is that he's already bid against himself. He's already said Chuck Schumer came out $50,000. And I'm like, hot damn, that sounds pretty good. And then Biden's like, $10,000. It's like, first of all, this is not based on anything.
It's arbitrary as hell.
It's all completely arbitrary. There's no facts or data behind any of this. It's just,
it doesn't say this is the average amount of student loan debt somebody has. It doesn't say this is how long it takes somebody to pay it off, and this is how far back you get set.
The only thing I can come up with is, somehow in Biden's mind, this is the calculus. This is what I can get Joe Manchin to vote for, because Joe Manchin now is going to be the president of the United States, essentially, because he controls the Senate. Because really, he's a Republican, he's a Democrat, he's whatever. But
how is that fair to Dakota, who went into the trades and said, "I'm not going to college. I'm going to make my living with my hands." And he's probably not going to make it to 57 because he's going to get black lung disease.
Well, he's going to bodybuild himself to death. That's the problem. He's going to be 0% body fat. You can't live like that.
Check the Patreon if you want to know why. Dakota took his shirt off. It's worth the clicks.
Yeah. It takes 2%.
And he had us Google a guy.
Your vitamins live in your body fat. You can't have none.
Super male vitality.
Ronnie Coleman had a DEXA scan done and it said he was at 0.33%, and that's impossible.
Okay. Here's why this is a good idea. Not the body fat thing. $1.6 trillion student loan debt. There are studies that show that if you eliminate that, you're looking at maybe $80 billion, $100 billion boon to the economy in perpetuity, meaning going on for this generation. And if you lift that boot off of the neck of this generation, they're going to be able to buy all these boomers' houses. These boomers living on golf courses. I'm sorry. None of these millennials or Zoomers are going to be able to buy your house anyway. So you're going to be stuck with it.
Yeah.
And
we don't want your McMansion anyway.
And then all these other issues with the economy, because our economy is entirely based on consumer consumption.
Right.
It's all based on, I've got the latest Apple Watch. I've got the PlayStation. I've got whatever. We don't have the money for that when it's being when it has to be put into student loans that are not forgivable in bankruptcy. And the idea that the government charges just exorbitant interest rates and is not just, this isn't like a 0% interest loan. This is for your education. This is like, we're supposed to make money off of it.
10, 12%.
Meanwhile, they're in a $1.6 trillion deficit because student loan debt that isn't being paid back. It won't be paid back. Trust me. So the question is, do you cut your losses at this point for the sake of getting the economy going?
Yeah, but okay. Say you do that today.
Yeah.
How do you not end up in the same place you are with quote unquote illegal aliens, where you had amnesty in the 80s and then you have 20 million more people that came in after the fact? Mm-hmm. If you're not going to make college free after this, people are still going to go borrow money.
You're still going to,
and you're going to reset it for people right now. But then what are you going to do? 20 years from now, you're going to do it again? Where does the second part of that policy go?
I think you would have to go to something more along the lines of what Bernie would offer, which is free college for everybody.
Community college, I could agree with.
Mm. Community college is damn cheap anyway. What?
Right.
Yeah, you're going to tell Purdue University what they're going to charge? You're going to tell Butler University what they're going to charge? Because they're two totally different price points right now.
I say if we had on a state by state basis some kind of encouragement from the federal government for the state to offer community college, then in 20 years, whenever we're in this situation again, we say, well, you had the option. Mm-hmm. You didn't have to take out all these loans.
Yeah.
I'll make this grand bargain with you if you do one thing, Sean. We do this. We say, wipe it clean. Federal government is no longer collecting money on any of these student loans. Mm. Federal government is also never making another student loan again. Mm. Out of the business.
Yeah.
We're done.
Well,
there are no more government student
agree
loans.
With that too.
If we do that, then now it's a market, and we're not inflating the price of college because now they've got to compete. And
that would be a possibility too, because the market is going to be able to offer competitive interest rates are very low right now, and you could offer a much more competitive, and you can bankrupt it if you need to. Basically, the federal takeover the student loan industry is a huge part of the problem, and that's a possible solution. The other solution would be to go the full-on Bernie Sanders route, which is to make sure that college is free for everybody, whatever that means now.
A 0.5% tax on all trades happening on the stock market, and that goes towards paying for college for all. K through 16 is what he calls it.
So those are your options.
Zach, where are you at?
Oh man, the free college for all thing. Yeah, I think it turns community college seems like a good option. Maybe if the government got out of it, then the private loan people might also be a little bit more like, oh, you're going to get a philosophy degree from Notre Dame. What are you going to do with that? And they might look at it and say, what are our chances of this person defaulting on this? And maybe you wouldn't get so many.
Sean Brown has a philosophy degree.
Not from Notre Dame, though.
Yeah, but I mean, like
Taylor University.
But they might ask you, like, what are you going to do with this? And it's like, so I'm going to law school. I'm like, okay, then that's a worthwhile investment.
How many?
How many
biblical philosophy classes did you have to take at Taylor University? The theological classes?
No, we did. Like metaphysics, epistemology, all those kind of things. There was not really.
I took a metaphysics class.
I took like biblical literature. I've taken things like that.
Metaphysics classes are highly underrated. They're interesting.
Mine
was, I guess.
Very hardcore
at Ivy Tech
at a certain level.
One last big ticket item that the president, he's now the president, President Biden,
President Joe Biden,
has included in his economic recovery, his economic recovery coronavirus task force bill 2000, He wants $15 an hour minimum wage.
However, that won't take into effect until like 2027.
But he wants it in this bill because it's the Christmas tree. We must pass it, so we're going to put it on.
But am I right on that? Where he said it won't take effect until like 2027 or something?
I thought it was 5 years
in the framework
or whatever.
Yeah,
sure. 2026, 2027. So it's like, okay, first of all, you may not be president anymore. So again, it goes back to that thing we talked about,
if they actually put it in the law, then there's a good chance it would stick.
Well, he can't. I don't think that's what he's talking about now. But yes, if they went through Congress through those channels, which they do have the most interesting thing about this is that are they going to learn from the first Obama administration or the first Obama term in that period of time where he had control of
both chambers,
the executive, they had a mandate of what was to be done.
This is where you got Obamacare.
And they really, I think from a political analysis standpoint, I think they squandered it. I think they could have done more. And they just settle. And it's because they're like, well, we can't get Republicans on board with it. It's like, well, you had the votes. And that's what Bernie talks about, where he's talking about the reconciliation, where they can just cram it in.
They can make anything a budgetary item and use the arcane reconciliation to force pass
which Republicans have done in the past.
Yeah.
It's not just unique to that. And it's not necessarily dirty pool.
These are the arcane rules of the Senate.
Yeah. The Senate, the best and absolutely worst institution we have in our country.
So $15 minimum wage, is that going to happen, Dakota? Do you think there's any chance that the Democrats actually make that come through?
I think it'll happen eventually.
I think it will too.
I think that there will be probably some kind of compromise that happens.
I think it will,
but it'll probably go up to at least 10.
It needs to happen like in the next 2 years, because I think Democrats are going to get wiped regardless in 2 years in the midterms.
Yeah.
Because
you lose votes. The incumbent loses votes, and they only have about a 6-vote majority in the House right now.
So they were supposed to really,
and it's a miracle that they have 2 seats in the Senate right now from Georgia.
Yes, but they were supposed to really clean up this time around, and they really didn't. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the midterm, but I think these 2 years are so critical for whatever Biden's legacy is going to be as president that they got to get
more
the
than that. The next
metal.
6 months, this first 100 days, this first 6 months is the moment.
Yeah,
heading into this.
So, and then after that, you got to keep fundraising for the next time. But although, like what you said, I mean, he's 78 now. I don't know that he's beholden to that type of political cycle as other people would.
I truly think he's got a chance to do some Lyndon Johnson type stuff, to be as effective as Lyndon Johnson was.
I agree.
Where he just said, "The hell with it. He's the third term of Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. The stuff that Kennedy couldn't get in, that Obama couldn't get in. This is his chance to say we're going to do this, and this." And it very well, you may have this massive liberal agenda come through.
No,
I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but I think he has the opportunity to do it. And if he keeps feeding people $1,400 or $2,000 checks along the way, people are going to be pretty happy.
Well, I think he only has so much of a tolerance for that. I think that he's not going to be doing this willy-nilly just to do it. I think he wanted to go with this bigger, bolder $2,000 check. Keep in mind, Trump wanted the same thing. Trump wanted the $2,000 check. He's like, get the check to the people. We got to get the checks to the people. And then they never got the checks to the people. It was very sad. It was a very terrible thing. But it's the same agenda. Like, it's the same. Trump had the same agenda on that check issue as Biden does.
His problem was with Republicans in the Senate.
But when Biden's going to do it, it's going to be liberal
$15 an hour
socialist.
A good idea, though, Sean? A federal minimum wage of $15 an hour?
Yes,
it really is. You truly.
I will take the devil's advocate position.
Because I think Dakota's sold out too. He doesn't care. He's liberal hippie boy now.
No, it's not that. I just think that I mean,
if you look
it's
at
a bad thing.
If you look at where wages are with productivity over the course of the past whatever,
I say, why the hell are we? Once again, it's the same as the student loan conversation. Why are we involved in deciding what the price of anything is in a market? Right. The private sector right now says that if you're going to work in this community, and you're going to get paid $11, $12, $13 an hour at the very low end.
Corporations will always do whatever they can to take advantage of their people.
They need employees. They need labor. The company I work for is desperate for workers. That across the board, people are trying to hire.
How much does the CEO of your company make?
No idea. Don't care. I don't care.
Well, think about Jeff Bezos and how much money he makes per second.
Doesn't matter.
2,000 something per second, and
that's where
they're fighting for $15 an hour.
I think that you, in regards to the minimum wage, I think that it needs to be a thought out process. I don't think that it can be a blanket statement. Mm-hmm. I think that it has to be like, how much? Oh, you're Jeff Bezos, you're Amazon, then, or you're Walmart. Then why do you still have employees on government assistance?
Yeah. So that is the conversation. And the inverse side to argue and to explore is if you're going to do this $15 minimum wage, then are we going to end certain social services programs that are for the lowest income?
I don't think you can.
Or is it a sliding scale?
I think it'd be more towards the sliding scale because that's what Democrats love. They love means tested programs. And I think Biden is still on board with those types of things where it's like, unless you are like dirt poor, you're not going to be eligible for certain Medicaid programs or whatever, Section 8. So I don't think that part's going away. I think the question is now, how do we catch up from the real wages being equal to what people were making back in the 50s for what their money could go for? So you've got productivity going up. You've got cost of living going up and wages stagnant for like 40 years. So it may be an overcorrection of where we should be, but at
folks
the same
get
time,
forced out. There was a meme that I shared today from, it was a Simpsons meme, but I think the Libertarian Party of Clark County, Indiana had it. And it was, hey, I need a job. Can I get a job working in your bar, wiping down tables? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'll pay $8 an hour. Little kid comes up with a gun and says, you can't pay him that. You have to pay him 15. He says, well, I can't hire you anymore. I can't do it. I can hire a bartender for that. I'm not going to hire a guy just to clean up.
Yeah. That's why I made the argument of why it needs to be thought out and not a blanket statement. That's kind of where.
But on the other hand, I mean, if you're getting paid, $16 an hour and you feel like that's not enough for your skill set, it gives you more bargaining power in the market in a way, because you can say, well, screw you. I'm going to go work at McDonald's for $15 an hour if you're not going to give me this raise.
I also think
McDonald's still employs the same number of people.
They will.
No, I don't think so. I think that if we have a $15 minimum wage, then that's going to encourage the more fast-paced implementation of like kiosk desks. You're going to see the doing away of cashiers and those types of folks.
Do you think all these boomers that voted for Trump are going to go to McDonald's and order it from a robot?
I don't think that they'll have a choice.
They can't even download a PDF. Like that's not going to work.
I don't think they'll have a choice. They're going to go to McDonald's and they're going to get super pissed off because they're going to have to order from this kiosk, and there's going to be a manager there and he's going to have to walk them through.
And he's also a robot, and everybody's a robot at this point. That's always the fear of the future.
It's not the robot one as much as it is the, hey, that neighborhood CBD store that just popped up, or the vape shop that popped up, or that small business that has an absolute tiny little niche. Yeah. The local Radio Shack in Rushville that magically still exists. Those places aren't going to be able to have staff at $15 an hour.
Yeah.
You've got a staff member that might be making
it's
8 or 10 or 12. But those stores are going to disappear if you all of a sudden you tell me that, hey, my labor cost is going to practically double.
Yeah.
Maybe what you do is do away totally with the federal minimum wage standard, leave it up to the states, but then also implement a national UBI system.
Well, I think $15 an hour in Newcastle goes considerably farther than $15 an hour in New York City.
Sure. But who's working for minimum wage in New York City?
A lot of people.
You think they're truly working for minimum wage? I think there are a lot of people.
No, I think that our friend Steve Horowitz, who's distinguished professor of economics at Ball State University, shared a study of just how little people in metropolitan areas actually work for minimum wage, and it was in single digit percentiles.
Okay.
It was incredibly
if you're working for that, that's a starter wage. It's where you're gaining your skills. If you're in that for a long period of time, it's got to be by choice or it's a special situation.
But everything is consumer based though, because everybody's trying to sell somebody a piece of Tupperware or a cell phone or whatever, and we have those jobs will always be here because we're always wanting to consume. That's what we do as Americans. The question is, how do we make it so that I think it's uncontroverted that wages have stagnated, cost of living has went up, productivity has went up, but somehow the workers aren't getting paid at the same level at the rate of inflation as you would if you were in the 1950s, which is when everybody's saying, "Oh, this was the golden age of America." And this is the lifestyle that Americans should enjoy.
Or maybe doing things that encourage the membership and the growth of unions and bargaining agreements, collective bargaining agreements. Maybe doing things like that, like reforming right to work laws across the nation. Doing things like that to where we have that kind of job security. We have this high paying jobs again. Also, like we were talking about earlier with Trump and the trade wars with China, making sure that we can try to get manufacturing back in the United States. Those types of things go a long way. You don't necessarily need to increase the minimum wage to do it, but those are things that can certainly help along the way to get there.
And they're consumer choices too, because buying American is more expensive.
Tampa Bay 2, Columbus 1.
It just is. I told you.
It always will happen.
It
just
always
like
will
the
be. But
AOC, the tax the rich sweatshirts that were over $50.
Yeah, because they were made by union workers.
They were made by union American
And so
workers.
the question is, do you want to live in a world where you have 20 $5 sweatshirts from Walmart, or do you want to have one $50 sweatshirt that's made by an American worker? And every single time, the American consumer is going to choose the cheapest whatever option for a lot of reasons, because
so will the
I always
American
try
government.
not to do that.
Because
the jeans I have on
as a guy
are
that
made
sells
by,
stuff to the government, trust me, they're going to choose that one too.
These are barbell apparel jeans, which are made in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Because I got to keep consuming. I got to keep buying the thing. And I'd rather have 20 of this thing, but it's super cheap and it makes me feel good because
my
buying makes me feel good.
My Thorogood work boots are union made in America. I go out of my way to make sure that I at least
I'm
try
telling
to
you,
buy
Dakota's turned into liberal hippie boy
as
over
well.
here. All right.
I've had my Thorogoods for 5 years. So,
Dakota and I will support the American worker.
Because that's who I am and that's who I care for.
Instead of the billionaires of the billionaire class in this country.
No, it's not millionaires anymore.
Billionaires.
Only billionaires are the problems, according to Bernie Sanders.
It's because Bernie is a millionaire. He's been everywhere today. The memes have been great.
Incoming chairman, Senate Budget Committee.
He completely stole the thunder from the president by sitting there, arms crossed, wearing his mittens, and he broke the internet.
And
today.
listen,
everything was where's Bernie? Not where's Waldo, where's Bernie?
Here's another thing about Bernie: the jacket.
Yes, the jacket.
He's had it for years.
It's the same jacket he was wearing
from
in his other meme.
The other meme.
Also,
it is again for your support.
It is made by a company in Vermont. His mittens are made by a Vermont teacher who sells them on Etsy.
Amazingly, you don't.
Bernie Sanders does support the American.
You don't have to have a million jackets. You just have to have one nice one. That's one of the whole appeals of Bernie Sanders to people is like he's a normal freaking person in his own life. He drives himself. It looks weird. He's funny, like in a weird sort of old Jewish man way.
Yeah.
That he's relatable because he could be your grandfather or something. Whereas like Donald Trump might as well be a space alien. Like I really thought he was going to get on the plane and be like, I have to go back to my home planet, where he's like, I'll come back and we don't know what kind of form I'll be in, but we'll come back. And it's like, you might as well be just a cartoon character. Whereas Bernie is like, I got one jacket. It's very nice. It's just one jacket
of all of the Bernie ones
going out.
My favorite was the Bernie post office at 10, Joe's thing at 11, 2 o'clock. I'm going to go get the dry cleaning. It was just it's perfect.
He was there to run some errands.
My whole tone and my whole opinion on Bernie Sanders changed whenever Joe Rogan interviewed him, because he sat down for that 3-hour conversation.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wait, he's not really just like, I disagree with him on so many policy decisions, on so many. But I sat there and it was just like Mike Pence. I disagree with Mike Pence on a lot too. But I listened to Bernie Sanders talk and give his rationale, and I was like, wow, he actually genuinely wants to do his best. And he believes in his heart and his soul that these things that he puts forward are what's best.
Right.
So he has actual convictions. And like I said before, I'll support someone that's not fake in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Bernie got screwed.
He did.
He should have won the presidency.
And also,
instead it was
Bernie
Joe.
does not have the balls that Mike Pence does, because Bernie Sanders just bowed down to the establishment Democrats again and endorsed.
I don't think he had any
Joe Biden.
choice. I think every single candidate coalesced around Joe Biden.
They
and were like,
trigger.
"This is it. This is what we lost Nevada. We got to go with Joe Biden."
Democrats got in line. All
Joe
right,
Biden.
Zach, did you go to the city council meeting in the old courthouse?
No, I didn't. I had a slight cough. I was out of town over the weekend. I didn't get off work till like 6:15, so I watched the live stream because I saw that they had I get notifications if they go live on YouTube, and I was like, oh, they tested the stream. It'll be good. And yes, they did live stream.
The audio was difficult.
The audio was classic for the courthouse. It was, I'm going to have to watch it. Like my kids were up. I was like fixing dinner. So I'm going to have to go back and listen to it with like really good over the ear headphones and try to pull out what was going on. I caught most of Corey Murphy, had a pretty, like kind of the state of what's going on with Corey Murphy, which is all kinds of stuff because he's got EDC stuff and, the airport. He had quite a bit of going on with the airport and stuff. So I didn't go, but I did watch it.
I tried for like a half second, and I said, this audio is impossible. I can't.
Corey's was the best part during the actual meeting, like the meeting. It was awful. It was like, I'm glad they set the camera up, but I'm like, they're talking into microphones. I was like, these microphones go somewhere. There's got to be some way to put something near the microphone. The sound's coming out somewhere. Put a microphone there so we can pick it up.
Plug a cord in.
Plug into the board.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aaron Dickin shared a picture to you and I, sent a picture of it, of the live stream happening. And my response to that picture was, Mr. Tarantino will see you in his office now, Councilman. Because Ed Tarantino, Commissioner Ed Tarantino in Henry County, those of you who don't know, has been the one talking about getting live stream capabilities in the old courthouse where the county council meets and the commissioners meet.
Planning commission meets.
Yep.
Planning commission met by Zoom tonight.
And Tarantino keeps saying, we're waiting on 9-Star. We're waiting on 9-Star to do their part. And
maybe they've got the cable that takes the audio.
Yeah. They have the cable. And
plug it in.
They need to go to the Radio Shack in Rushville.
They've got the aux cord that they need.
My thought was that Aaron Dickin pretty much just ratted him out that it's possible.
It's possible. Possibilities are endless when it comes to technology and plugging cords into things. And
it's just it's a load of BS that they don't have live streaming capabilities in the county courthouse right now. They keep saying
it appears to not be a priority. I'm sure that it's not working right now, but it also appears to me that they have not made it a priority.
Yeah.
If you just give somebody the task and a little bit of an expense account to get a couple of parts that you need, and it can be done in a day.
Or are we talking about county government?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. Yeah.
Last items here. The county commissioners have not appointed the 2 additional Memorial Park Board members. So board is supposed to have 5, has 3 on it. President Dean, who's been on this program, said, we're canceling the January meeting. We don't make decisions with just 3. It's not fair to the group. Barely have a quorum, so they didn't do it. Dakota wants to know if that was the right move.
I think it was.
Can we all agree that the park board meeting that doesn't happen is the best park board meeting?
I think maybe the other appropriate move would have been, we have the meeting, we hear updates from the different 501c3 organizations that work in conjunction with the park board, but we make sure that we don't make any kind of decisions or have any kind of a vote.
So they just go through the theater having a meeting, but they can't do anything, and it's just a pointless exercise.
Well, you hear what happened in the last
month. Sounds like a government meeting.
Yeah.
County government.
I mean, the most informative part of city council meetings is the around the council when they all do their committee reports. That's usually when you find out what's like. That's the more interesting part of that.
Yeah.
Of county council meetings.
That's what I'm saying. Like maybe have the sit down and let public come and hear an update. But make sure we only have 3, make a statement at the beginning. We only have 3 people here. We're not going to be taking a vote on anything. there will be no official discussion or decisions made at this meeting.
I don't care enough. Whatever.
I don't really care that either, but
I don't care.
I saw a lot of
doesn't
I saw a
move the
lot of
needle.
hoopla about
People
it
are
on
upset.
Facebook. So
Whatever. If you expect good things,
Get
Get off of Facebook.
If you expect
Just
good
get on
things out
Facebook
of
to
you-
watch the show.
If you could listen, we're available on the YouTube in a replay, in audio form. We're on the
podcasts,
iTunes,
iTunes,
Spotify. We're all podcasters.
You're everywhere.
All right, let's work into final thoughts, Mr. Zach. You took a big vacation. Didn't invite me, but I hear you left the state.
Yeah, I went down to Tennessee for the weekend, left on Friday morning, hung out down in the Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge area.
Did you get MLK Day off as a federal employee? So this is why,
Yeah, so I was trying to get a group of high school friends together, and we didn't get together normally over the holidays like we normally would. And so I was trying to be nice because I figured most of the people would have my brother does not get it off. He's like, I've never had a job where I got MLK Day off. And I was like, oh, well, that's unfortunate, but he burned a day. So yeah, we had a fun weekend down there and came back Monday. It was nice. We got a little bit of snow down there, not quite what we got here. It was perfect down there because sidewalks in the street stayed clear, stuck to the trees and the leaves for about a day, and then it went away.
Are there good deals on Airbnbs in the Smokies?
Yeah, I mean, like my personal, we did just like a cabin rental. We didn't do like an Airbnb, but like my experience has been compared to finding one like semi-locally, because it would have been nice for people to have a shorter drive, is that there's so many cabin rentals down there that you can get one a lot cheaper. So we had 5 families or 5 couples. There weren't all kids in there, but it was less than $100 a night per couple.
That is not bad.
And then we're nerds, so we took our own TVs. So we had a dining room table that sat 10 that had three big screen TVs on it, all hooked to Nintendo Switches, so we could play Mario Kart.
Oh yeah,
you had yourselves a LAN party.
Living the life.
Yeah. So
living La Vida Loca.
Yeah, the kids love that too. So yeah, it was a good time.
Well, very good. Anything else we need to know about?
No.
All right, Sean. You missed out on the chance to be the county attorney. What the hell?
I did not throw my hat in the ring for that. I continue to represent the planning commission. I continue to be a public defender, and I continue to have a private practice. So it keeps me busy.
So it seems like enough.
I have enough on my plate.
Unless Trump calls for the impeachment.
Trump calls for the impeachment. Sorry, clients. I got to go serve my country. We'll call it that. Assuredly, 20,000 a day that he was paying Giuliani supposedly, I'd go for that. But no, it's been
get it up front, because I heard he doesn't want to
get
pay.
it all. That's the first rule of private practice. You get it up front. Everybody knows that. So no, it's been a good run here the first part of the year. Still no jury trials according to the Indiana Supreme Court, and
doesn't that feel swift?
It's fast and speedy to get those pretrials done. Yeah. No, it is what it is.
Are they just making the rules so that they plead out and it's one-sided now?
Well, it does remove your leverage in some way as a defense counsel, because one of the things that you can say is, okay, let's just try it. Try the case. And sometimes that can get them to move a little bit, them being the state, but, or your client to move a little bit too, as far as expectations or whatever. But I mean, it is what it is. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're not really equipped to bring in 75 people and cram them all into a room. I mean, it's not the best idea. So, but that's what the Indiana Supreme Court said, and that's what we go with.
What if jury duty was, we're going to have trials, but to do it, you have to agree to be in the jury pool and you get your COVID vaccine. So you get the instead of jury pay, it's, hey, you're going to be a juror in 3 weeks.
I would just stick my arm in front of one of them and I just.
Why don't
which
they
one of you don't believe in this? I'll take yours. Thank you.
Just rapid test every time that the jury meets.
I don't know that you can really order a rapid test of a potential.
They have those
juror.
antigen tests where it's like
just end up quarantining everyone, like doing isolation.
Honestly, though, like what the hell?
It'd be like a sequestered jury for every jury trial. It'd be like a sequestered jury for like a level 6 theft.
Well, hey, the local hotels would be happy. They just turn into little.
We do have so many options.
Little bubbles.
So many options.
I think it's a reasonable expectation. These people are in the population anyway. They need to get vaccines. Put them at the front of the line. Make sure they get if you're in the jury pool,
Yep.
You get your 2 shots. Let's go. Let's get people out of the jails. Let's get them out of the system.
Forget teachers or anybody else.
Hey,
we need to.
Guess what?
This is the
All
best.
jurors need to be teachers then.
This is the best time to get caught with weed in Indiana. You're definitely not going to jail.
Yeah, well, there for a while that would be, and I think the as far as simple possession of marijuana, I think they're trying to do those summons type things. So you get summoned into court as long as you show up, you're not going to have any problems. They're still going to do that regardless, pandemic or not. But don't possess marijuana; it's illegal.
Yeah,
it's not good. It's not good. Drugs are bad. Okay.
Yeah,
Dakota, what do you got?
DukeCannon.com. That's where you can go buy all your men hygiene products and use code DDBB or BBDD 2020 at checkout.
Big.
There's 2 B's.
Big bold Dakota.
Yeah. BBDD 2020 at checkout. And that gives you 10% off your order.
All proceeds go straight to the Boss Hog costs.
Incredible.
It's great. It's great.
Go into Dakota's pocket.
Also,
we don't see it. People like Sean and I, we don't get a penny.
It helps his bodybuilding career.
Yeah.
Goes towards his bronzer he's going to need when he gets in the Arnold.
Goes into his shea butter.
Do you want me to look like Ronnie Coleman or not?
I just don't want to have to be the one to have to go buy the wheelchair van and pick your ass up, drive you up here from Spiceland.
Somebody has to buy me Trenbolone, and it's not going to be me.
Or you don't want to do the apology for blackface. What's he uses the bronzer there?
Neck down.
It was bronzer. All right, my prediction, my final thought here. We elected a Democrat president. You have a Democrat Senate. You have a Democrat House. Let's legalize cannabis. Let's be done with it. Let's get the BS over. In this 2 years, they need to take care of that so that Governor Holcomb no longer says, "Oh, I can't do anything about it because it's federal. It's legalized. It's not legal federally."
I mean, realistically, that if that doesn't happen now, it's not going to happen for the next 30, 40 years.
Yeah. Now's the time.
Yeah.
Now's the time. Let's go. All right. That's enough of this. Next week, we're going to have a show Thursday night. Mark Brim's flirting with us, but we don't know if he's allowed to come or not. We're going to try. If not, it'll be something else fun. We'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to the Boss Hog of Liberty, which is part of the We Are Libertarians Network. I am Chris Spangle, and I am the founder of this network, and I invite you to listen to all of our shows, which you can find at WeAreLibertarians.com or by searching for these in your podcatcher. The flagship show is the We Are Libertarians podcast, where we apply libertarian principles to current events. The Brian Nichols Show is a conversation amongst Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, as they talk about what is happening in the news. And we have many other podcasts like The Chris Spangle Show, Upward, The Cost, Raw Audio Politics, Miranda's World, and Tad Talk, which is quite a ride. So check all of these out. Go to WeAreLibertarians.com and you can check out all of our great podcasts. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at WeAreLibertarians.com.